It says we're live.
Mine says it's waiting for Stephen Bland.
There, so it should be on now.
Every day we see different kids' faces.
Look at that. How come the ad already comes up?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we are live, and there's nobody here. Oh, wait, somebody's coming.
Your coffee's done.
The hot chocolate. Hot chocolate. So, looks like there's a couple of people. So, say, I think my camera's a little high.
Prezi says, I'm here, but I'm busy.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt your day.
Busy doing what?
Yeah, what are you busy at, Tracy?
That's not
Let's see, who else is there? Hello, say hello, whoever. What are you doing? Moving. You're so picky. Picky, picky, picky. Boxes from her attic is what Tracy's working on.
Oh. Yeah, we have a crawl space full of stuff that needs to be looked at.
Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Yeah, find any dead bodies in your attic?
We don't have anything in our attic.
Well, no, we don't have much of an attic.
No, we have like lots of insulation.
Yeah. Oh, Jody's here. Hi, Jody. Greetings. I thought you could keep me company while I'm organizing scrapbook paper. Yeah. Good thing. Well, today, as you know, we came on earlier than we usually do because we're going over to my sister's during the time when we usually broadcast for dinner because it's Thanksgiving here in Canada. For the Americans, they don't have their Thanksgiving until the tail end of November. But we have it in October. And I'm not sure where else in the world where they might have Thanksgiving at this point in time. I'm not sure if England has it at the same time.
Do they have Thanksgiving?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe they don't even have Thanksgiving. I
Well,
don't
they
know.
may call it something else. It'd be like a harvest
Or something, yeah.
I think in Germany they call it something different.
Yeah, well, I think Thanksgiving might be something that's somewhat uniquely North American.
Yeah.
But for the Americans, they have a whole history around it, whether it's true history or mythological history, about the pilgrims and all that kind of stuff. In Canada, I think the reason we have it is because it's just basically fall harvest time. And I don't know what other reason why we have it. I guess it's just an excuse for a long weekend. Okay, so what's been happening? Update on my mother. Not much there to tell. Her back was hurting her apparently one day. The next day when according to my sister, we was there on Monday. On Tuesday I went over and she didn't say anything about her back much.
Yeah, it probably was more like, I want to lay in bed all day and I'm going to complain that my back's sore.
Yeah, that could have been it. Virginia's here. Hi, Virginia. And so she's fine, except she made this revelation. She says, they may have found my teeth. Remember back a month or so ago, 2 months ago, she inadvertently left her teeth at the table and we figured they got thrown out, her bottom teeth, but we also figured it was a bit of a plan on her part because she hated them. Well, supposedly they found them in the laundry. And I said, well, how do they know if they're your teeth? What are they going to do? Shove them in everybody's mouth to see what fits? She says, no, they're labeled. She says, they put this special label on them in somehow or something and keeps them. And I said, okay, fine. So I asked my sister, because she was going over on Friday, to ask my mother about her teeth, whether she got them or not. And I told my sister the story. Well, apparently, hi Janine, she forgot to ask my mother about them, or so my mother said. But my mother says, no, nobody said anything more about her teeth, so they couldn't have been hers. I don't know.
Mrs. Purple Potato Head's asking where it is today.
Oh, at my sister's in actually the same town that's east of us, but it's where my mother is in the nursing home as well. It'll be my sister, my brother-in-law, and Walter and I, and my nephew and my niece. My nephew, he's going to school in Ottawa, so he's down for the weekend. And my niece, she's out working, although she still lives at home, I think. And yeah, I guess we'll catch up with them. And of course, my sister's in-laws, my brother-in-law's parents will be there as well. And actually, before my sister ever married into that family, I used to work with her mother-in-law because she was a teacher. And we worked in the same school for a while. Taught different subjects. She was a history teacher and I was an English teacher, but we worked there for a while. Never forget when she said to me, "Have you heard the news?" And I said, "What news?" And she says, "Your sister is going out on a date with my son." And I went, "Geez, just think about it, Marg. What would happen if they get along really well and then someday they get married?" I said, "What would that make us?" And she says, "Enemies." Well, guess what? My sister married him. No, we're not enemies, though.
Says Miss Purple Potato says.
Are you bringing a dish? No. Yes, Jody. Yeah. No, my sister said she didn't want me to bring anything, but I made up a little basket of chocolate and decorated it up. I'm taking that over as sort of a hostess gift kind of a thing. But I think my sister will probably do pretty much the standard traditional foods for Thanksgiving. Probably do a turkey. And, with everything else that goes with it. Well, we'll take some wine, of course. And so, yeah, she didn't want me to bring anything. I offered to, but that's okay. Usually when they come here, I say to her, don't bother about bringing anything either, because really, people feel that they should bring something. I mean, I always feel that way when I go to somebody's place. But when it comes to food, I think... people have a set menu, what they're going to cook and what they're going to prepare. And, you can throw a monkey wrench in if somebody else brings another dish. Especially if that dish has to be heated up and you've got your oven already plugged full. Joey says, I like to bring a hostess gift too. I don't think millenniums do that nowadays. Probably not. I always make sure I take some wine, of course. And depending on who it is, I'll sometimes take a hostess gift or something like that. So anyways, you'll notice that we are not having any hors d'oeuvres and we are not drinking any alcoholic beverages today because, of course, we have
I've got sparkling water and you've got
I'm drinking hot chocolate. Actually, if I try hot chocolate, coffee has been bothering me a bit lately. And I don't drink that much coffee. I have at the most 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and that's it for the day. Now I'm down to, this whole week I wasn't drinking any, and the other day I tried 1 cup and I was okay, but it gives me heartburn for some reason. I don't know, maybe...
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's why I always had bad heartburn when I was at work. Because I used to drink a lot of coffee while I was at work to keep myself awake.
Well, I used to drink a ton of coffee when I was at work too. Well, actually, no, I always had a cup of coffee sitting on my desk, but I never ever got to it, so I was always drinking iced coffee. But I don't know, but I never had the heartburn. So I don't know.
I used to drink a lot of it at work because I'm not a morning person. I had to have my coffee.
That's for sure. But I wonder if it's the caffeine in the coffee that's giving me the problem, because we're drinking fairly strong coffee because I've been drinking the Nespresso quite a bit as opposed to the Keurig. This is a Keurig hot chocolate. But the Nespresso coffees tend to be a little bit richer and a little bit like they have more taste to them, more flavor. They're more like a European coffee actually that comes out of it, as opposed to what comes out of the Keurig. The Keurig, you can get all kinds of different flavors and things like that, but the coffee isn't as good as what comes out of the Nespresso. But you said we had some decaffeinated Nespresso tablets or capsules, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so maybe I'll try those and just see if it's the caffeine. Hi, Carol. Jody says, Walter, what time do you get up now that you're retired? Oh, that's funny.
Depends.
Yeah, what time were you up today?
11ish.
More closer to 12ish. Walter's only been open. Walter's only had his eyes open for 2 hours.
Problem is I stayed up till after 3 o'clock last night.
Yeah, but you stay up till after 3 o'clock every night.
Not every night. Sometimes it's 1:30.
Well, it's probably because of those 2 bottles of wine we drank in the hot
tub.
tub.
I know. Well, that was part of it.
Actually, I just took some of those little special gummies and I went right to sleep. I had a good sleep.
So yeah, I've never been a morning person, and
he's definitely
even
not.
Now, if I get up at 9, it's early.
Yeah, I say to him, you see, Look outside. You see that big yellow ball? That's called a sun. Yeah, this is what the world looks like. I can't do that. I have to be up in the
I
morning.
still blame my mother on that. When I was a little kid, my mother liked to sleep in, and I'd get up early to watch cartoons, and she'd send me back to bed. Said you're up too early. She didn't want me to be up, so I used to always sleep in.
See, my mother was the opposite. She expected as soon as the sun rose, everybody's up, get going, out of the house. She had things to do. And if you dared to stay in bed, she'd just make the bed over you. She'd vacuum your room. She'd just all around you just to annoy you.
I was bad when I was in college and that, especially on weekends. Like we'd go have friends and we'd go to all-nighters at the movie theater. I show back up home at 6 in the morning and I'd sleep till 2.
See, to me, you're wasting your day if you
Yeah,
don't get
well.
up. Of course, mind you, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah, and that's usually when I'm waking up.
Yeah. And Jody says, I'm up at 5 a.m. whether I want to be or not, retired last year. Yeah, well, if you were used to getting up early when you were working, you probably still, at least for me, I was used to being up at 5 o'clock in the morning when I was teaching. And I still wake up. I wake up around 4:30, quarter to 5 in the morning, and I lay there and go, well, it's too early to get out of bed. And then I sort of doze. And then next time I open my eyes, it says it's about 6. And I decide, okay, time to get up.
Even when I was working, I used to go in for 9:30. I was one of the last ones to get there. We had flexible hours. And so I used to only get up at 8:30 in the morning. So, and that was early for me.
Yeah, it just about kills them on a cruise when you have an excursion.
Yeah, when
bed.
we go on cruises or we go on vacation, I have to get up early when we're there. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, Jody says, yes, I left the house at 5:30 a.m. because I had an hour commute into Denver and start at 6:30. Yeah, well, I used to get up that early so I could be at school by about 6:30 because there'd be nobody there at the school. No kids, most of the staff weren't in yet. I could get in a good 2 hours worth of work before the kids got in there into school, because once the kids arrived or my staff arrived, well, that was it. You weren't going to get anything else done that day.
Actually, what was good about the flex hours is I start at 9:30 and then work till 5:30. And then what happened was at 4 o'clock, everybody else started clearing out of the office, and I would always be the last one there. But it was good because I got lots done between 4 and 5:30. I didn't have anybody bugging me.
So who else is retired on here? Carol, are you retired? Andy, Virginia, Tracy? Are any of you people still working, or you all retired, or just independently wealthy and can do whatever you want to do, kind of a thing? I don't think I've ever asked anybody that question before. So that takes us then to what to do as retired people. Well, we were talking last night in the hot tub. We've got what's Carol said, retired for a very long time. Oh, okay, Carol, and retired after 40 years of teaching. Virginia, okay. All right, so I don't know. I like being retired. I like it better than working, and I liked my job. So
I didn't hate my job, but the last few years was difficult, and I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore.
yeah, I mean that seems like I've been retired now 7 years. I don't know where the time's gone, and after 31 years of teaching, and I'm always busy.
I worked for about 39 years altogether.
Yeah, Virginia says, time now for sewing. Yeah, been doing a lot of that, as you well know. And actually, I just made 2 waitress aprons for our Halloween costumes this year. Because we're getting those together. And yeah, so talking about future trips. So I think we mentioned that we have booked a river cruise from Amsterdam to Budapest in May. And then, and I don't know if Kim's on here lurking or not, probably not, but my friend Kim out west, she runs the a membership website called The Quilter's Way, and I think you've heard me mention it before. And next year, she lives in Calgary, which is about 3 hours from Edmonton, and next year in June, the Canadian Quilt Show, the big one they have every year. We went to it this year in Ottawa, and I had some footage in that in my vlogs. They're having it in Edmonton. So we're kind of thinking, toying with the idea of possibly flying out to Edmonton for that, and then we'd meet up with Kim at some point and maybe get a rented car and drive from Edmonton down to Calgary where she lives. I know she's going to be at the Canadian Quilt Show because she just mentioned it in our live meeting. We have a live meeting on the Quilter's Way every other Friday, where we all get together and talk about various topics about sewing and quilting and that kind of thing. If you're not into sewing or quilting, it wouldn't mean anything to you. And she did mention, I think, that she is going to be working at the show. So I know for sure, though, that she'll be going, most definitely. So anyways, that's something. And then we've got this idea that maybe in September something, we might like to go to Newfoundland because we've never been. And we've been to every province in Canada, no territories, because we'll have none of it. That's an inside joke. But we've never been to Newfoundland. So, and probably one of the reasons we've never been to Newfoundland is because the east coast of Canada is a little bit more slower paced than for us
rural.
here. Yeah, it's very rural as compared to where we live. Well, we're in the Greater Toronto Area, the GTA they call it. So I mean, it's hustle bustle. Everything is probably the busiest part of Canada is probably right where we live in the vicinity of Toronto, which is probably natural because it's a large city. Well, it's the largest city in Canada, such as large cities in Canada go, 3.4 million or something. That's about it. So not as big as a lot of the ones in the United States, but we also only have about 34 million people in Canada as opposed to 330 million plus in the United States. So yeah. But anyways, I digress. So we're looking at that, and when we were younger, we were always looking for the nightlife and stuff like that, and the good times. Now that we're older, maybe a little slower pace isn't so bad.
Yeah.
And Walter knows somebody that lives in Newfoundland too.
Actually, the lady that used to do the stained glass course moved out there, and I think I know I can connect. She's on my Facebook. I connect with her. She's always saying, "Come by and see us." So
yeah, so we'll probably will. So really, we have a lot of things planned for 2020 in terms of trips. Of course, all these things do cost money. Well, as far as the river cruise is concerned, come February, that's paid for, and we already know what to allot for that. The other ones, it's hard to say. Flying internally in Canada is not cheap. I mean, sometimes it's more expensive than, say, flying to England.
yeah, actually, a trip to Vancouver can cost you as much as a trip to England. So
Yeah, in terms of the flight costs. Yeah. It's ridiculous. There's no such thing as a cheap flight in this country.
yeah, and we don't really have any discount carriers or anything like that. Yeah. So I mean, we've had a couple, but they don't
last.
They don't last
for some reason.
Well, probably because they have very screwed up. What do you call it?
Itineraries?
Itineraries and stuff.
Yeah. So actually, we could drive to Newfoundland. The only problem is you have to take a ferry.
An overnight ferry.
It's an overnight ferry, and I hear it's very, very expensive.
And it's also very. The water can be very rough on the crossing, so...
Yeah, because, I'm sure most people that live in North America realize that Newfoundland is not attached to the rest of Canada. That it is basically stuck out in the Atlantic Ocean, basically.
An island.
It's an island, a huge island. Province, Newfoundland and Labrador. They're both the same, but one's called Labrador, one's called Newfoundland, because it's the Northern Territories to Newfoundland.
Yeah, and I know that Deborah, the one that I know that's got the stain that did the stained glass, she moved out there when she was going out there. She needed to transport her, she needed to take her furniture and stuff like that, so she had to take a ferry, and it was she didn't do well on seasickness, and I guess the crossings were really rough to get there. So
well, they call it the Rock because it is basically a huge rock. a big piece of probably of the Canadian Shield, I guess, out in the middle of the, well, not quite the middle of the ocean, but out there for a while. But it's supposed to be really beautiful, and it's the people of Newfoundland are supposed to be the really nice people. Actually, I don't think I've ever met we call them Newfies. I don't think I've ever met a Newfie I didn't like. They're a little country, kindish.
And
but
they have a very distinct dialect.
yes,
there. And that's where I think you hear the word aboot.
aboot and oot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they I label all Canadians with that we all say aboot and oot for about and out.
And that's,
But the Newfoundlanders, they
how
do say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got other quaint expressions that we don't understand, and they have some kind of moonshine out there that they call screech. And I've had it before, and yeah, one sip of screech and you're doing exactly that. You're screeching. It's pretty potent. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's a type of
grain alcohol.
yeah, something like a
that.
whiskey or something like that, or
Yeah, I think
rye
you can
or-
buy a bottle. You can buy a bottle of stuff they call screeched
Oh yeah.
in the liquor store, but I don't think it's as strong as the stuff they have.
The only
I think it's a type of moonshine.
Yeah, I think it is. The only time I ever had it was at the Quebec Winter Carnival. And at that time, that was back, I was 18 years old, and you could buy these hollow plastic canes. Everybody's walking around with them at the time. Now, this is back, well, 50 years ago, almost 50 years ago. And they were filling them. Everybody seemed to be popping off the handle part of it, and they're tipping it up. And of course, being naive from Ontario, didn't know what the heck this was. First time at the Quebec Winter Carnival. And so I asked somebody, he said, oh yeah, they put alcohol in that, screech. And that's the first time I'd ever heard of something called screech. And since then what I know about screech is what I just told you a few minutes ago. So Carol says, I'm still a morning person, slump around 4 p.m. but stay up till 1 a.m. Yeah, I'm in bed by 9. I read for a bit and then I pass out. And then sometimes I wake up at about midnight, had 3 hours of sleep or 2 hours of sleep, and I wake up at midnight and I lay there and I can't get back to sleep. So I have to read some more until I nod off. But I suppose that's not such a bad thing. That's how I get my reading in. So anyways, yeah, so we've got the plans for that kind of stuff. We haven't been out to the West Coast. Well, we haven't been either to the West Coast or East Coast in many, many, many years. In fact, we haven't been to the East Coast. Wow. 1986?
Yeah. 1983. Wait, when did we go to the West Coast?
1984.
Okay, so we went the East Coast 1985.
Was it 85? Was
Yeah.
it the year after?
The year after.
Holy crap. Yeah, so it's been a while. I wonder if it's changed much.
Probably
not.
not.
It's just that we've changed. Okay, so I've already talked about what we're doing for Thanksgiving dinner at my sister's. So what other stuff? Oh, Bootsy's here. Hi, Roy. Well, I just woke up from my pre-winter nap and saw you were live just a bit early, nursing a mild head cold. Oh, that's too bad. Hope you get
I
over
just
that.
got over one, so.
Yeah. So we'll have dinner at my sister's today. So that brings us down to what's newsworthy. Well, you know that we're in the middle of a federal election. And we don't go to the polls until the 21st of October. So we've got about a week from tomorrow. Yeah. A week from tomorrow. Okay. And it's been just brutal. We watched the leaders debate. First of all, who do you vote for? The asshole that's the least asshole of them all. The guy who's the head of the Conservative Party is complete dickweed. One that's looking pretty good, but he'll never get in because he's part of the NDP party, and unfortunately, he wears a turban. And yes, Canada is multicultural, and we welcome everybody from all around the world. However, there are some people that aren't that liberal-minded, and they are not going to vote for him because of that. And he's had a few comments made about it too. Of course, mind you, our Prime Minister had some old photos of him dressed in blackface, and they made a big to-do about that. It's just been a mudslinging. Well, all politics are. But it's just been mudslinging back and forth through this whole campaign. Scandal, scandal, scandal. So I know.
And they dragged up the dirt from everybody. And then we also found out that the Conservative Party leader
Hi,
has
Jetty.
dual citizenship between. Oh yeah, well, I think you talked about that last week. But
Yeah, so I mean, they try to pull up old dirt on these guys. None of them stand there and really talk about what they're going to do. And you know why? Because they don't know. They haven't got a clue.
Yeah, so all they do is for these debates is sling insults at each other.
Yeah. Back and forth. But here's a kicker, okay? Trudeau, our prime minister right now, head of the Liberal Party that most of us love, okay? He's sort of our answer to Obama, okay? Scheer is kind of our answer to Trump, kind of a deal. Anyways, these old pictures emerged of him in a costume. He was dressed as Aladdin. And he was in blackface for this, okay? Or brown face. Probably more brown than black, okay? But whatever. Anyways, he is Caucasian. So there you go, right? The whole history of blackface and racism. Now, he was not even in politics at the time. He was a school teacher. He was a drama teacher out in Vancouver at the time. So he went to a costume party. Well, the pictures emerged because, anything that gets posted on the internet is out there for life. And then they dug up an even older picture of him with an afro and blackface again when he was in high school. Okay, he apologized. What can he do? I admire the man for this. He could have turned around and made an excuse and says, I was young, I was stupid, I didn't know what I was doing. He didn't say that. He said, I know this is wrong. I sincerely apologize for anyone that I may have offended by my actions at that time. What else can he do? What else can he say? I mean, the opposition party would love him to resign, but that's not going to happen. And then, though, here's the kicker. So it all starts to sort of die down because there's been other things that they've been dealing with in this debate situation, this federal election stuff. One of his own people, one of his own Liberal Party members who is running again to get into power,
And has something like 30 years of experience.
Experience as an MP, okay,
Yeah.
member of parliament, that's what MP stands for here in Canada. She's on a talk show that is a black network. I didn't even know that this black network existed, but I guess, and it's a Canadian show. And she's talking about Trudeau being in blackface. And she turns around and said, and this was, talk about stupid. She says, well, I've talked to a lot of black people, and they seem to feel that he was honoring them. And that's what Trudeau was trying to do. He was trying to honor those people by wearing, okay, baby, open your mouth wider and see if you get the other foot in. Because the more she tried to justify this, the deeper the hole she dug. Meanwhile, the host, she's looking at the camera. She's a black lady. She's looking at the camera, looking the other, and you can see it in her eyes like, oh my God, you stupid white blonde bitch. So, of course, that all came back up again, and it brought it all into the focus again. But somebody from his own party, yeah, it doesn't put a lot
Not
of
only
faith
that,
in
it
it.
also shows you that she didn't feel that she is obviously somewhat prejudiced or something like that as well. Like, she obviously didn't realize the severity of that original thing that occurred. So
Yeah, like, okay, that's, and of course what comes up too is he had some really stupid women in his parliament, in his caucus, that he fired for one reason or another. Of course, the opposition, Scheer, the Conservatives, are always picking on that, like, because one of them happened to be the Attorney General.
and she had an indigenous background.
And she had an indigenous background. And in this country, if you can have an indigenous relationship, if you have 1/8 native blood in your system. So we have a lot of people that, for whatever reason, like to try and claim indigenous standing to see if they can get a tax cut and that, and things like that. But anyways, she so they're trying to make the point that basically Trudeau got rid of her because she wouldn't go along with hiding a scandal that he wanted her to. No, there was a whole lot more to it than that. And then there were two other ones that resigned as well. But you want to know something? If you read about these people, and I'm sorry, but they were all stupid people. So out of the party, good thing. We don't need more stupid people. There's already we have politicians, plenty that are stupid. But anyways, so that's the fun we're having right here in Canada right now for the federal election. And hopefully, as far as we're concerned, the Liberals will win with a majority government. The Conservatives will be reduced to a pile of crap, because they are a pile of crap, but we're not sure how that could go. Hi, Ilona. We haven't seen you in a while. So anyways, that was what's in the news. What else before we get to the topic today? Oh, show on Netflix that we've been watching.
No, it's not Netflix. It's on Amazon.
Oh, is it Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Fleabag. It's a BBC production. It's a comedy, but it's kind of bizarre. But I kind of like it. It kind of grows on you. You have to watch a few episodes of it, but
there's a lot of where she's like just looking at the camera, talking to the camera, and nobody else can hear what she's saying. So she's sort of doing a narration.
Oh, and it's a little bit restricted too. It's adult entertainment because there's a lot of F-bombs in there, and there's a lot of other things
overt
too.
Sexuality, or not to the point where you see naked parts.
No, but you hear it being described.
You hear
a lot of things about I guess that's what makes it interesting. But anyways, we haven't been to a show, and I haven't watched anything really, just old reruns on that. And so, theme of the week, as you saw in the header, we were talking about this last night, and it's the new way of doing commerce, and it sneaks up on you. Now, statistics say that in Canada, that over 50-some% of Canadian households are in debt. That if they had an emergency or something, they would be able to meet their monthly bills. That's how close they are in debt to things. And I guess the world in general is probably that way. But that's what they say. And you get thinking about, well, how do people get into debt? Well, we were talking about subscriptions. You know, the kind of thing that you join something, you have a monthly fee.
Like Netflix?
Like Netflix, for example. You know, we pay $13.99 a month for Netflix. Well, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, does it? $13.99 a month. But then multiply it out by 12 months. So you're spending over $160 or $150 or $150. About $150, $160. Let's put it at 14. 14 times is 140, and another 168, so a little less than, about $165 a year. Okay? On that, I subscribe to Amazon Music. $9.99 a month.
You also have, that's on top of your Prime membership.
Yeah, that's in addition to the Prime membership. Now, the Prime membership is a subscription, but you pay for it annually. Now, I only pay $79 for it, and actually, I think it's worth every cent. For that.
So that's like about $5 a month.
Yeah, okay, fine. Let's do the math here. And so back to Amazon Music, that's $9.99 a month. So that's what? $120 a year. Okay, so right there, you're starting with the Netflix, with that, Amazon, what? We're well over $200.
We have cable TV that we pay for.
And that's a subscription. And you know what cable TV's like. You can pay all the different tiers. Now, we have the most basic. But that's bundled in with our telephone, our internet.
Our landline, you mean?
Yeah, our landline. Well, it's a telephone. I didn't say cell. Okay. Landline, TV, what's the other? Internet. Okay. Yeah. Those three. Well, we were paying well over $200 a month, but after my little rigmarole with our provider, we're now paying with taxes, about $172 a month. So yeah, that's the other things. You're now up to about $400.
And then I've got Apple, Apple iCloud. And I also have Microsoft, whatever they call it, which is a cloud system, which I pay for.
And I've got iCloud, and that's $2.79 for the one that I've got a month, which I never use it. And I've got Google Drive, which is Google's version of an iCloud, and that's about $4.51 a month for the size. So now you're up there. We're in around about $600 a month or so. And what other subscriptions do we have? Well, it's not really subscription, but I mean,
We rent stuff. Like there's the home security system we have.
oh
to
yeah,
pay
true.
for,
That's
and-
$45 a month.
And then we've got
There's a car insurance, house insurance.
everything else, right? But I mean, a lot of people have all these other things. And then you hear about people donating money to Patreon, which we
Yes.
have. And so that's often like money people are giving out for stuff like that. You've got, we just have Netflix and Amazon Prime, but then now more and more companies are coming out with more and more streaming, like Disney's coming out with a channel and Apple's coming out with a channel.
Oh, we would have had Crave too. Crave is like Netflix, but it's run by our
it has
provider.
no content.
And it does, yeah. Well, it's getting better actually, but I get it for nothing for a year. And that was part of my negotiations on
So
something.
then, and then most people have cell phones, so everybody has to pay for their cell phone every month.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, it all adds up, and you start looking at exactly what you're spending every month, and it can.
And we don't have car payments because our
No.
cars are, especially mine.
His is old.
Mine's
Mine's
old.
not as old, but I paid it off soon.
And we haven't had a mortgage for a long time because that was paid off. But if you had those on top of it, most people do have car payments and most people do have mortgages. So you get all these. So, there are certain things you're going to pay for every month. You got to pay for your shelter. You got to pay for food. You've got to pay for transportation. And you got to pay for your utilities, right? Telephone, TV, heat, all that stuff. We know that. But then you add all these other little things that seem like insignificant
Like
when
you
you
have
first sign
that,
up.
you said you had a Cricket subscription.
Yeah, I have a Cricket subscription, Cricket Access.
Yeah.
I've had it for several years. I pay $13.99 a month for that. Do I get $13.99 worth of value out of it? No. It gives me access to their entire library of stuff. But most of the time if I'm cutting something, I can do it on their free files, or I had so many back in the days when Cricket was the older Cricket models that took cartridges. Well, I have a cupboard full of those. I wouldn't want to tell you how much money I invested in those. But there's several thousands of dollars in those cartridges. So I have all that stuff. So why do I have Cricket Access? Oh yeah, and they give you 10% discount on anything you buy. But I have to pay for that in American, where it's American funds, right? And everything like that. So that's another thing. But I was thinking back, what was it like many years ago, like before the internet? Subscriptions. If someone said, do you have a subscription, you assume they meant magazine, which I also have a magazine subscription too. Just got that recently. But yeah, used to have magazines subscriptions. My mother used to have a ton of magazine subscriptions when I was a kid. She'd get like Good Housekeeping and I don't know what other things she got. And then there were book clubs. Doubleday. My mother was a member of Doubleday Book Club for years. And that was like they sent you the book of the month, and they were always hardcovers in those days. And that cost quite a bit. Hardcovers were not cheap then, they're not cheap now. So she had that. And then there was the infamous, and I'm sure a lot of you had this when you were younger, the Columbia Record House. You got a subscription to, I had one for cassette tapes, because when I was 16 years old, I got a cassette player or something. So I bought one of these monthly memberships. It used to be pick your first 10 free if you signed up to be a member for a year, and I forget what it cost each month. But that was about it for subscriptions in those days. Today, well, look at everything that we've listed.
Bootsy is talking about $4 a month keeps going and going before we realize it. And then there's those unused gym memberships. I have a gym membership, but it's not unused.
Yeah, true.
I go all the time. But I don't pay monthly. Actually, I pay yearly on that one. So I just,
But you actually use it.
yeah.
But a lot of these people, in January, after Christmas and that, suddenly all people have this New Year's resolution, I'm going to join a gym, and they walk in, and you see the signs. Like, there's some gyms out here now, something called Fit for Less, and they advertise $4.99 every 2 weeks.
So,
But in the fine print underneath it says plus initial registration fee or membership or something, which is probably $120.
I think it's 150.
150. Yeah, so they try to get you that way. And all these people sign up in January.
Yeah, because every time I always hate the gym from January to March because it's really busy. And you get these people on, and it actually it's funny because what I always think is funny is you get a new person that goes to the gym and they get up on one of the machines. I usually work out on the machines. They get up on a machine and expect the machine to move for them.
Oh. Well,
and they're
it's not
going,
easy.
Not too long ago, a lady guy went onto a machine next to me and she said, it's a stepper type machine. And I said, she's looking at me and she gets on it, she's pushing buttons on it, and she's just standing there on it. And I said, she looks at me and she goes, how do you get the pedals to move? And I said, you gotta push down on them really hard to be able to do that.
Well, there's ones that are wasting their membership fee there too. But yeah, well, now
Adobe went to subscription route for, actually how we ended up getting started on this idea too is that we've got a local grocery store chain here, right?
Oh.
And they have a points card. So now they've got, it's President's Choice, they call it, right? But now they've all of a sudden got, you can join President's Choice Insiders Club for $9.99 a month, and you get extra points on your card.
Ooh.
But that's only if you buy their premium products, right? So I'm thinking, and it's $9.99 a month, and I'm thinking, do I want to spend $120 to join this Insiders Club where I'm not going to get any benefit from it? And it's another one. They're beginning to nail you down left and right to try and join their subscription service or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Andy says Adobe went the subscription route for their photography graphic software. Many of Adobe's major competitors still sell their software for ownership. Yes, Adobe. I didn't know they had done that with the photo stuff. Like, are you talking like I use Elements, and now I haven't bought Elements in quite a while,
No.
but that's never mind about that. But I noticed on Adobe Acrobat, which is the editing program for editing PDFs and making them and all that kind of stuff. Not Reader. Reader's free, but this actually allows you to, well, it's a word processor, essentially. That used to be you bought the program outright, but now they have a monthly subscription, and I think it's like something like $18 a month or something. It's not cheap. And Microsoft, you can't get the latest version of Microsoft Word, or whatever they call it, suite, whatever, unless you do a subscription. I think they call it Microsoft 360 or something like that. And it'll come on new computers, but you get a trial basis of it, and it deactivates after 30 days if you don't buy into the subscription for it. So needless to say, I run an older version of Word, although that's not my word processor of choice anyways. WordPerfect is. But that's how they get you.
I have an old copy of Word that's not licensed, and it keeps, every time I bring it up, it says that it's not licensed or whatever, and it's old, it's out of date and everything, but that's okay, I still use it.
Yeah, for what I do with it. Well, Virginia says I pay for Office 365. Oh, it's 360,
Yeah.
Office 365 yearly, and HP Instant Ink. I'm not sure what HP Instant Ink is. Is that some kind of online printing service or something like that? I haven't heard of it. But yeah, the Office thing. Yeah, well, no, I'm not giving them that kind of money for that. That adds up majorly, those kind of things. And then there's apps too. You put a free app on your phone, but if you look at it closely, I'll say free app in-app purchases. which means they give you the basic program, but if you want to go beyond that, then you have to buy other things. Well, a lot of games are like that, apparently. I don't play games, so I'm not...
Printer ink service for her HP printer.
So, what does that mean? A printer ink service. So does that mean that every so often they bring you ink, or you call them up if you need ink or something like that? And what's the advantage there to instead of just going out and buying your cartridges from the store?
Actually, we bought last year Epson Epson printers that hold the eco tanks.
Yeah, the eco tanks.
All only have to do is fill the tanks up with ink.
Yeah, actually, probably the best printer I've ever owned is that one. When they came out, and it is actually very economical on ink. I seldom ever have to fill it up, and I print a lot. I'm a heavy-duty user with that, and the bottles of ink, I think it takes 4 colors, counting the black, and each bottle is about $19, I think. But one bottle will fill your tank twice, and the tanks are pretty deep, and they do last. I haven't filled them up or bought ink in probably over a year and a half.
Ink on I just bought that printer this year. Now the printers are expensive compared to the ones that use cartridges, but
well, usually it's the other way around. The printers are cheap, but the cartridges cost you. And this one, you're paying, like, I think I paid over $300.
Yeah, I paid $300 for the one I have, but it came with basically your supply of ink.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't print a lot, but I print enough that I do go through the ink, whereas the printer I had before was working fine, but it was a photo printer. I tended not to print photos very much, and it had 6 cartridges in. It had 6 different cartridges in it. Like, it had a yellow, 2 colors of magenta, and 2 colors of cyan, 2 shades of cyan, and a black. And each one of those cartridges cost over $20, and they didn't last very long.
No. Whereas if I was to go out tomorrow and buy all 4 colors for my eco tanks, it would cost me $72.
And that would last you probably a year and a half, or even not longer.
Well, I've still got bottles I bought well over a year ago that I've used very little out of. So yeah, I think they're great. So Virginia, you never answered my question about how the printer ink service from HP works, because I'm curious how that works. I'll tell you up front, I'm not a fan of HP products. I used to own, when way back in the days, in the early days, I used to buy a lot of HP products, but I found the HP products just went downhill over the last few years.
Okay, so it started...
It's a cheap promo when I bought the printer. They know online when my cartridge is getting low and then send the cartridges for a monthly fee. I need to unsubscribe. So what do they charge you then for that? Is it cheaper than if you had to go out and buy more cartridges? And do you get cartridges every month on that? Like you said, what happens if you're not printing that much and you don't need cartridges for 1 month? Are you still on the hook that you pay that monthly fee no matter what? Because it sounds like a bit of a money grab to me. So what other things? Oh, now food. Okay. Food boxes. You know, they do these on YouTube all the time. They seem to be very popular videos. Everybody's doing an unboxing and a food test. And they get these boxes of, a lot of it is junk food. But they arrive and you can test candy and things from other parts of the world. Yeah, I looked at how much one of those subscriptions cost. They're not cheap. They range anywhere from about $19.99 US a month up to, depending on how elaborate you want to get, they can be as much as $59.99 a month for candy every month. I don't get that, but apparently a lot of people like those. And another type of subscription I've noticed in the quilting world is they have a monthly box that comes, and it'll have fabric in it, it'll have some notions in it, it'll probably have a pattern in it. And they range in price too, just like the food boxes as well. And I've heard people on YouTube talking about how many different subscriptions they've got. And there's ones for art supplies. Actually, if you follow her, Miriam Small Art, Mirmi Small Art, that's what it is. She's a Polish lady who lives in Ireland, and really great videos on mixed media and stuff. But she's been lately getting these boxes as well to see if they're worth the value or not of how much they cost her. And there's some of those are monthly subscriptions too. So I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in this. Mm-hmm. Carol says the same with all the art supply boxes. Yeah, some good, some not a deal. Yeah, and you know what happens if you've already got some of those items?
You also had that Cricut thing that it wasn't a subscription, but you'd
the surprise.
The surprise box.
Yeah, the mystery box. Every month they came out with the mystery box, but it wasn't really a mystery because there would be YouTubers like Melody Lane and Ken's Creations and that who were affiliated with Cricut. So they, as soon as they became available, they would reveal what was in the box. And I did buy a few of them, but actually...
Yeah, but the problem is a lot of it was stuff that they were trying to get rid of.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
It was stuff that was old stock.
Old stock, and like there's only so much vinyl that you need, right?
Well, that's why I stopped getting them. Because it seems like that's all Cricut does these days is vinyl. That's what it's all about. Tanner Bell, who's another big Cricut affiliate and has a website and a membership site as well. I've stopped watching his videos because how many inspirational signs made with vinyl on a plank does one need in their house? Because that's all they do. And his subscription, another subscription. I actually, don't want to say too loud, I have a free subscription for life with him because I was one of the early subscribers and there was a problem and I forget what it was. And I told him about it, and for that, he turned around and he gave me a free membership. Now, I thought the membership would only be for 1 year. Yeah, I've had that membership for about 2.5 years, 3 years, but I never use it because all of his files are all the same. They're all meant to put cute words on a mug, on a wall, on a plaque, and like, hang in there, baby, you're the best, be amazing, you're fantastic. Yeah, I don't need that kind of thing. But
Virginia says that she figures it just balances out.
Well, I think it just balances out. Supposedly the cartridges have more ink than regular retail, and I get shipments about every 3 months, about $16 US monthly. Yeah.
I don't know. It probably sounds, I don't know. You'd have to work it out
Yeah.
and figure out whether it's worthwhile for you or not.
But you see, that's another option that for these monthly things. It's the convenience. That's what they get people on. Like, well, why did people have magazine subscriptions? Because it's more convenient for the magazine to come to you in the mail. You never miss an issue. That's what they advertise.
And they promote it because it's cheaper than buying it every month on the newsstand.
Yeah, supposed to be. Now, I did buy a magazine subscription for Stampington and Company, and it's for their art journaling magazine. That only comes out 4 times a year. It's an expensive magazine. It's like something like $16.99 Canadian for 1 copy. The problem is I really like that magazine, but anytime I go looking for it, I can't find it because our local Chapters, which is a huge book chain in Canada, they have a great selection of magazines, but they only probably get 2 copies of the damn thing, and they're gone in no time. So I looked at how much a subscription was going to cost. Am I saving money by doing that? No. The cost I had to pay in US dollars, so between the conversion from US dollars to Canadian dollars, what I have to pay for postage, which isn't astronomical, but for a magazine, but it's almost about the same amount as one magazine, I'm probably paying a little bit more than if I got it off the newsstand in that case. But at least I know I'm always going to get it. So that was the trade-off for that, getting that subscription. But what I was saying, I digressed off my point here and now I've lost my point. How they get us sucked in. Oh, the convenience thing. Or like, for example, in quilting, okay? I've thought about it because I think it'd be kind of neat to get this little box of, fabric and a pattern and some cute little ruler or notion in that and the whole bit. But then I thought about it. But wait, all I'm getting is the bare bones fabric that you'd need to create probably nothing bigger than a throw. You're not getting any backing fabric. You're not getting any batting with it. And those are pricey items, though, with it. So, in a sense, yeah. Now, if you lived out in the boonies and nowhere near a quilt store, maybe this would be something for you. And I know some people subscribe to it because they're not very confident in their selection of colors. And so they, of course, send you in this kit, this box, coordinating fabrics and all that kind of stuff. But then again, they could send you something to look at and go, oh my God, that is god awful. I wouldn't make a dog's blanket out of that. But you don't know. They have other tricks too, like all the convenience of getting it, right to your doorstep, delivered every month. You getting the latest products, be the first in your neighborhood to try these products and all this kind of stuff. So they've got tricks for all of that. And well, actually, maybe it's not any different from the old days of when the Fuller Brushman used to come around. Everybody knows what a Fuller Brushman is. The sales guys that used to come with a big suitcase that had brushes and other things related to those kind of products. They sold everything, actually, Fuller Brush, I think. That's right. Did you ever have a Fuller Brushman?
No, yeah, my mom used to have he'd come by all the time, but that's not, I don't think she had anything permanent like a subscription or anything.
Oh, and they had makeup ones too, because when we were talking about that, it made me think of the days of Avon,
Yeah, Avon.
Ding dong, Avon calling.
Yeah, I guess they had everything in their past too. They
Yeah.
had things. There was a company that came by that my dad actually kicked them out of the house. That tried to sell this mixer type thing. I can't remember exactly what it was, but you'd have to buy their products from them.
Oh.
And it was like a monthly subscription or something, and the people across the road did it, but my parents didn't do it because it was this you were on the hook for so long to get a subscription. In fact, we had one not too long ago where I answered the door where somebody was trying to sell us a subscription for meat.
Oh, forgot about that. Yeah. So talking about food stuff, we had a guy come to our door to sell us. Actually, how did we get? He didn't come.
Some guy came around and said, "You want free meat?"
Oh yeah, that's right. You want free meat? I looked down and said, "What did you have in mind?" No, and I said, "Whatever." And he took down the name. It was some company, and the reason that I fell for it or got interested was the fact that years ago my parents used to have a food plan they belonged to. It was called Chambers or something. And basically you went in and you bought a year's worth of meat. Like you bought like half a cow or something like that. But they'd already trimmed it, cut it into different packages and all this stuff. And they had other foods too. And in those days too, we had a freezer already. But they would offer you, when you joined up, a free freezer or something like for pennies a month. You could buy this freezer and everything, and all this economics that you were going to save all this money on your food and stuff like that. So when this guy was at the door, that kind of went through my head. Well, the only way you got the free meat was if you got the sales pitch. So the guy comes. I made arrangements. So the guy came here one Saturday morning, gave us our free meat, pound of hamburger. We ate that, didn't we?
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
Wasn't that great? Then they were trying to show us all the benefits of buying this meat, and their meat was this great, and it was all this, and it was excellent, and they had testimonials and how wonderful it was and everything like that. And
basically, the basic package would have been about $4,000 for like a half-year supply of meat.
Yeah. I went, no, don't eat that much meat. Don't need that.
And it was a bit of a... He
He really didn't push anything.
didn't really push it, but he knew that we weren't interested.
Yeah. So, but people do get suckered into that kind of stuff, and good thing we didn't bother because, like we said, we tried the meat that he left us, and it wasn't that good. So, no. And besides, we don't have room in our freezer.
I didn't know that places like that still existed.
No,
but
I didn't
obviously
either
they
till-
still do.
Yeah. Roy says he used to be a Fuller salesperson when he was in college. And Joey says, I love the Fuller brush hairbrush with clear acrylic handle. Best brush ever, still use it. Bootsy, do you remember that brush? He's going, it was a long time ago. I don't recall it. Does Fuller brush even exist anymore?
I don't know.
I mean, or maybe there's something else. Maybe they've got a different name or
Maybe
something.
they have an online store.
Yeah, that would be more than likely. But, yeah. What else did I have about this stuff? Oh, okay. So other subscriptions. Now, Walt already mentioned this, but there's Patreon. That's a subscription thing. And to me, I think people are throwing their money down the tubes. But apparently a lot of people buy into Patreon subscriptions. Melody Lane is probably the best representative of somebody who has made that work for her. She is self-employed, and it's all through YouTube. And her affiliation with Cricut. She does Saturday morning tutorials. She has Patreon. People send her money. Now, she does give something back for the money, but basically, it's a contest. If you pledge so much a month, you're in a draw for something. Now, she does have some really good draws. Like sometimes you can actually win like a Cricut machine or something, or things like that. But really, other ones offer you, like here's the latest one I've been seeing. If you donate $5 a month, we'll put your name in as one of our producers of our YouTube channel. Big deal. Wow. Other ones say they have exclusive content that only Patreon viewers can see. Well, it's just another video. Really. And one, Darlene Michaud, she's another one who's very clever when it comes to business, making money online through YouTube and Facebook and things like that. She has a Patreon. But what she offers are just videos that she doesn't put into the public viewing on YouTube. And they get first grab at something. She's always auctioning off fabric. She goes someplace, gets this fabric. It looks like it's kind of cheap fabric from what I've seen. It's hard to tell, when you're not there to actually touch it. But she puts it up on eBay or something, but these people get first dibs at it, and they get free shipping or something if they live in the United States. If you're not in the United States, you have to pay for it through eBay or something. So really, but people throw money at them. And even YouTube now has a pay part on it that's like a Patreon that you can connect to your YouTube channel and people pay. And then of course there's the one that you can activate, like we could activate right now, I think, I don't know, maybe not. I'm not sure if there's a subscription limit or something, where Super Chat, where you make a comment, but if you make a donation of whatever you make a donation of, it can be $1, it could be $2, $5, whatever. Your comment goes to the top of the screen. Wow. Isn't that exciting? But Melanie Lane averages well over $100 for a 1-hour production on a Saturday morning, because I've watched them. And then watched them come out, and people are giving her $5, $10, some give her $20, and the whole bit. It's kind of like a tipping system. And Curiosity Inc., that I've talked about before, the guy that was doing the Potter's House thing and, out in Edmonton and has the antique store kind of a thing. He does live videos all the time, and he has Super Chat on them, and people are dropping money off to him all the time.
Okay, Mrs. Purple Potato says Creation CC Artist does Patreon too.
She says gives back to her patrons.
Yeah, and then Encyclopedia Britannica. Yeah, actually, people across the road that bought Mixer also bought a subscription to Encyclopedia Britannica, and I think every month or every other month they got a new encyclopedia, which now it's no good for anything.
Oh, when I was a kid, a kid in the neighborhood I knew, they had a set of encyclopedias, and I was fascinated by encyclopedias. And I said to my father, and those encyclopedia salesmen were around all the time, and And I forget what it cost, but my parents couldn't afford it for
No.
one thing. And my father always said, and he was right. He says those will be out of date in no time. And you spent
Yeah.
like all this money. Oh, and I had a subscription to Time Life books on computers. Back in the early 80s, I joined this one, and every month you got, and I forget what it cost me.
Yeah.
And I got these books talking about computers and the whole bit. Of
Now they're
course.
completely out of date.
Oh, well, then I got rid
I
of
think
them.
we got rid of them.
Yeah, we got rid of them.
And then and my parents said the same thing about the Encyclopedia Britannica. It says, you know, it was funny because these people that bought the stuff, or they bought this mixer that cost an arm and a leg, they had a subscription to it. They had encyclopedia subscription, and they had all these encyclopedias, but they were as cheap as hell for everything else.
Well, then when the internet came on, or people got more into computers, then there was, remember, Encarta?
Yeah.
Encarta was Microsoft's online, well, it wasn't online, it was CDs.
CD-based encyclopedia.
I had a subscription to that.
Yeah.
Every year I got, now it was only a yearly thing,
Yeah.
and I forget what it cost, but I used to get that. Well, now that's outdated because
Yeah.
you just go on the internet and you can find whatever you
Yeah.
want. But looking back here, like Carol says, Cece gives back to her patrons. Some do. And that's one reason, and I've explained this before, why I don't have a Patreon site. I looked into it. But if people are giving me money for something, I expect to give them value for their money. So I have this obligation to give them back something in return. And that's a full-time job. I mean, how do you keep up? And what do I have to offer people, like, in order to encourage them to subscribe to me? You know, I don't think it's worth it. I think Melanie's probably got the best idea. What she does, it's the minimum amount of work for her. But I know some other ones offer, like, they'll make you, like, if they're a card maker or something, they'll make you a special card each month. Well, I don't know. Carol says you can turn on a super chat also. Yeah, I know I can. Are you people going to give me money? Maybe I should do that as an experiment and see, oh, who's going to give me money? Yeah, for that. I don't know. That feels like basically,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, Mike Deacon, he has his Angels Network, but he also sells products, right? And it's part of his business because he's self-employed. He's a graphic artist, I think, as well, and all that kind of stuff. And he spends a lot of time doing his videos and everything like that. But his Angels Network, you join it if you give a donation. It doesn't matter what the donation is, and you can give it just once. So I did. I sent him $10 once. And now I'm on the Angel Network. So that means I get advance notice of when his latest stencils are coming out, which I used to order stencils, but I've got, and nothing against Mike's stencils, they're great, but I've got hundreds of stencils, some of them still in the packages I've never used. I mean, I used to collect every stencil Tim Holtz came out with, and I had to stop that because it was becoming an obsession, and I wasn't using these things. But anyways, he's kind of took the Angel Network, was basically his version of a Patreon in a way. Only he cut out the middleman because you pay so much to Patreon too, or they take a percentage of whatever money you make from them. About that, so. Oh, Jody says YouTube channel This Dan Bell does super chats. He ignores you unless you pay up.
Oh.
Oh, really? Is he that exciting that you want to throw money at him? That just reeks of arrogance, doesn't it? Roy says, I'm old, so maybe I deserve to have a network of angels. I'd even take some demons. I don't know. What are you going to charge him, Roy, for that? But, yeah, the other ones that subscriptions I have had, I used to have a subscription to Craftsy, which is now Blueprint. And, you know, that's the online, what do you call it, education, tutorials on everything from sewing, quilting, art, all kinds of things. Actually, it's very good. All of the videos that they have on there are all very professionally done. And I paid $120, I think, for a year's membership. and I probably got my money's worth out of it. The only thing I didn't like about that, though, was that you didn't own the videos. See, I had bought.
But you don't own the videos, but that's another way to keep you on the
That's
subscription.
right. And if so, when you stop your subscription, which I have stopped since then, you no longer have access to those videos again. But would you watch them again? I bought videos from them before I went to the subscription, and they were averaging about $40 a pop. I didn't buy a lot, but I could download them to my computer, and I have them. I just burned them into DVDs or whatever, and I always have them. Again, I don't look at them. So, so much for that idea. But
I also read something interesting in that I'm not sure if this is actually how it's going to work or not, but you know how Netflix brings out a series of a TV series, or what do you call it, a series of videos or whatever, and they dump them all on there, and you ended up doing a binge watch, and you watch them all, right? Well, apparently Apple's going to have series as well, like a TV type series or whatever. But they're not going to dump them all on there like Netflix does so that you can do a binge watch. What they're doing is they're only doing it bi-weekly. And just like the TV networks do. And the idea is that you would keep your subscription.
Oh, yeah, right. So you could see the
Because so
end.
you don't want to see the end of the series.
Yeah, because some people will get a subscription for 1 month to binge watch something they want to see. We did that with Crave. Letterkenny. I want to see Letterkenny. It was the only thing on Crave that I liked in the whole bit. So we got it for 1 month. I binge watched Letterkenny, and then we canceled it. So, yeah. Carol says, exactly, Stephen. No way to go back and look again unless you keep up the subscription. I like to download and watch first if it is a new process. And watch if it is a new process.
Probably watch over and
over.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it. Over if it's a new process. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great site. I'll say that. I don't have any complaints about it. It's just that...
Yeah, so then you start adding up all these subscriptions that you end up by getting, and now it seems like more and more and more subscriptions are coming out for everything.
Yeah.
That it's going to get to the point where you're going to have to pick and choose which ones you have because you can't afford everything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But, okay, so right now, if you figured it out, Amazon Music, $9.99, so say $10 a month. Google Drive, $5 a month. iCloud Drive, $3 a month.
Now, mind you, you need Amazon Prime before you can even get Amazon Music.
That's right. So $14 for Netflix. My magazine subscription works out, well, that's a year, but it's about 80, so that works out to about $10, a little less, about $8 a month there. So right there, and then of course the Amazon Prime subscription, but that works out to about $5 a month.
CQ says, this is why I buy physical books. I own them. I buy it and I own it. However, you can buy, ebooks, and you actually own a copy of the ebook as well.
Yeah.
It's just an electronic format.
Mind you, if anybody ever stole my Kobo, all my library goes with it. But then I probably won't reread the books anyways. But that's not a subscription. I can go on there and I can buy a book. And which is actually a little off topic, but I really do love my Kobo, which for those of you in the States, that's a Kindle. Okay, it's just our Canadian version of a Kindle called a Kobo, and works the same way. But what I like is, okay, I'm laying in bed, I finished my book. And I said, what am I going to read next? I just go on to the site right from the Kobo and I look to see what's trending or look for a certain author I like and know they've got a new book out or something like that. I download it instantly to my machine. Now, it used to be when they first came out with those, the books were a lot cheaper than buying a physical copy. Not so anymore. They're pretty much about the same.
Which is kind of a ripoff because they don't actually have to get it printed and all the other stuff.
Well, like for example, I just bought Margaret Atwood's latest, the sequel to Handmaid's Tale, The Testaments. It's in hardcover in bookstores. I'm not sure what it costs in the bookstore, but it cost me $20, I think, in electronic format. So, not cheap,
Virginia says she's reading the Testaments right now.
Don't tell me anything about it. I haven't got to it yet. I'm still fighting my way through Goldfinch. I didn't know that book was so bloody long. Holy crap. It's a good book, but now it's just getting annoying. Read all my books on Kindle, but physically buy all my art books. Well, there are, certain books that, like coffee table books or art books, I could see it. Because having those on an e-reader...
Yeah, some books are not... Even like travel books, I prefer the physical copy of the travel book than doing on... sometimes the interfaces on travel books are not great. The other thing that I like, I have books for stained glass and things like that I like as physical copies, not as an e-copy.
Well,
mind you, I'm not a reader to begin with.
Well, so. I have a few, like I have art books. Well, every week on my vlog, I've got books that I go through from my stash on that. I threw out a lot of books a long time ago, and I never thought I would ever throw out a book. Being an English teacher.
Yeah, and then you've got all those stupid books on the monarchy or whatever.
Yeah, we gotta get rid of those.
Yeah.
Take them down to Variety Village and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I used to collect stuff about the monarchy. Yeah. Why do I need to collect stuff about a queen when I live with one every day? Little joke there. So, anything else? So, like I was just doing this monthly real quick. So, 20, 34, 37, 8, $45 for just those things off the top of my head. Oh, I forgot about Cricket Access. That's another 14. That's 59. I forgot about the Quilter's Way, which is another 14. That's 69. That's $73. That's just for things. All of these I could get rid of.
Saying, Presley, get your head out of the attic. We're missing your comments.
Yeah. Yeah, she's stuck up there probably with her Alexa. Uh-oh. Oh, she's still turned off?
Alexa.
She's off.
She's off.
Okay.
She was turning on her stereo and taking me off.
Yeah, she's a bitch. So, really, when you think about it, that's why... Oh, I just came inside.
Were your attic's outside?
Is your attic outside? Weird attic. What was I going to say? Okay, so people are always being about back to what I started this conversation with, the fact that over 50% of the population, at least in Canada, is in debt and are living from paycheck to paycheck. Well, there is $73 right there that if I wasn't spending on that stuff, I could spend it on fabric. Yeah, or whatever. But I think it all adds up, and I think it's one of those things that's kind of subtle.
And it creeps up on you.
Unless you're somebody who sits down and actually plans out a budget, and I am. But a lot of people don't. This is where their money's going. And now they've got programs too. They're not actually subscriptions, but this Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes and things. They're food delivery things. Well, I took a look into what those cost. Those cost, if you order McDonald's, it just seems ludicrous to me that you would want McDonald's
I see
delivered.
People skip the dishes in there all the time.
Yeah, I know. Well, I looked at
not that I go in there all the time.
Well, I looked at the price. If your order comes to $30 from McDonald's, it's pretty much about the same for the delivery charge. It basically doubles, from what I could figure out, doubles what you're ordering. So, really? Think about that. Is getting McDonald's delivered to your house worth that kind of money? I don't think so. She went through it. I was relaxing. I pulled everything onto my patio and then went through it outside. Okay. I agree. I have about 10 subscriptions that I realized are costing about $300. Yeah, I know it adds up really quick with it. But I guess that's the way life is. So if you're ever looking for extra money, I guess you analyze what you pay for subscriptions that you could probably live without. And maybe you'd have more money. I don't know. Not a financial planner. I just look like one. No. So, what's coming up? What we got coming up? Nothing next weekend. Weekend after that, we've got, Friday. That Friday we have the Halloween party.
Yeah.
And we'll have our big reveal of our costumes at some point then. I had DoorDash delivered to my house that I did not. I had a DoorDash delivered to my house that I did not order. Oh, so did you get it for nothing? That's one of the big ones too. They're always advertising DoorDash.
No, I haven't heard that one.
Oh yeah, well, it's on.
Well.
Well, no, it depends. I've seen it on TV. Not that we watch a lot of regular television. That's probably why you haven't seen it. She threw it away. Well, did you have to pay anything for it? Like,
Well, no, probably not, because they do that all online usually, right? Like if you go skip the dishes, you pay for everything up front online.
she said, yeah, I know. It was ice cold.
No.
And then there's hub grub around here. Okay. No. No, what? It was ice cold. No.
No, she didn't pay anything for it.
Oh, okay. Couldn't you have heated it up?
Giant.
Sugar soda.
Oh.
Giant sugar soda. Ew. Somebody want that delivered to their house? A what?
Yeah.
A bottle of pop?
Yeah.
Or as Americans say, soda. But, well, no saying what. Yeah, we haven't got nothing coming up. Anything coming up.
No.
Oh. We live exciting lives. Not anymore. I'm not eating mystery food. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true enough. You don't know what they might have put in that food,
Yeah.
too. You know, yeah, it says it's DoorDash. It might be more like DoorDeath.
Floordash.
Yeah, Floordash.
Yeah. Dropped on the
Oh,
floor.
Floordash. Okay, so I guess we've got to go off to our Thanksgiving thing here shortly. So we'll say goodbye. And thanks for those of you that were able to join us at an earlier time. Next week, we should be back to usual. At least for 1 week, because I know there's another week we're not going to be. And I'm trying to think why.
Well, isn't it the first Sunday of the month, which is November?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that I'll be doing art journaling stuff. But that doesn't happen for a couple of weeks yet. So anyways, everybody, if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, have a good Thanksgiving. And if you're not, have a good what's left of today and a good week. And my vlog will be up tomorrow. So check it out. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye. Say goodbye, Wally.
Bye.